That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 45 for Tuesday, April 19th, 2016. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joined in the PETM Podcast studio, whatever the word is, with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. Welcome to the fastest growing podcast on the internet. You better saddle up because it's coming at you tonight.
It is coming at you. Let's kick this thing off the way we always do. What you drinking, Sherwin?
I got some weird little Jim Beam tonic and like moonshine cherry thing going on. So the end of this thing is going to be interesting.
Yeah, those are like 80 proof cherries right there. So
I can't wait. I'm going to race to them.
That's going to be
what you drink?
Very tasty. Well, let's see.
Hashtag what you drink.
Hashtag what you drink. So in the pre-show, for those of you on the Periscope, thank you for joining in on the pre-show. For those of you not on the Periscope, y'all should join us at some point. I'm not blaming you for not doing it. You know, you have your own time doing your own thing, but we're having some fun. I'm drinking that same New Belgium Citradelic that I had last week. Still have one left over. And then, because I drank the whole thing in the pre-show, you gave me a Reformation Brewery Atlas Redeemed IPA out of Woodstock,
Dude,
Georgia.
you got like 4 drinks over there.
Well, and then I've got a Jim Beam and Coke, just in case.
Just in case. In case you run out.
Yeah.
That's all right. I got a cooler with like 5 more beers in it. We're going to be all right.
I'm going to run
It's going to get, we might put it in the ditch tonight.
Yeah, my glasses are already fogging up. I need to turn that AC back on.
It's between the ditches, as the Michiganders say. Don't worry about them white lines. Just worry about the ditches.
So let's talk first about the PETM posse. The PETM posse, as of earlier this week, is 1,000 strong, buddy. How about that?
We hit the 4-digit mark.
4 digits.
That's pretty
cool. Unbelievable. Y'all are the best. I can't tell you how much we love you. If you're listening to it for the first time, y'all will crack you open a beer. Pause us right now. Crack you open a beer. Come back and listen because it's going to be like that all night long.
That's right. And if you're in a situation where, for whatever reason, the internet keeps kicking you off or whatever it is, don't worry. This podcast lives forever on the internet. As soon as we're done, we upload it to iTunes, where you can get it on Pocket Cast if you're a Droid user. We host it on our website thanks to Podbean, and you can also find the bug in our Twitter timeline, which we pin every week's episode. So there's a million ways to consume this thing. We just thought doing it live on Periscope would be like the most possibly fun way, since we don't edit other than like putting the bleep in when I say bullshit too loud.
Well, let's give them something to talk about here. PETM 45th episode, man. So that means we need to talk about the 45. And I had told you in the pre-show, I said, you know what? Let's give this 45 to Adam Petty, and we'll talk about Adam Petty on the scope here. Now, 2 weeks ago, we talked about Richard Petty, his granddaddy.
Yep.
Adam Petty. You can't talk about Adam Petty without talking about the tragic loss that we had of Adam Petty in I think 2000 at New Hampshire, doing some practice laps, and he had one of those
hung
throttle and head-on collision, and it just that was the end. But real talented fella. He was the next. Well, we'll say Richard Petty, right?
That's what everybody was saying. You and I were just trying to get our toes wet with the sport then, and not really understanding what all was going on. Obviously, we knew about Dale Earnhardt. I didn't know about Adam Petty until several years later. But it was really the combination of those two people and those two families being involved with tragedy that NASCAR decided to mandate the Hans, and they started to really go to work on, we got to make these walls, absorb some impact.
Yeah, make the walls safer, if you will.
Yeah, safer.
So Adam Petty, you hate to say that it spawned something good out of it. I don't know. Something good came out of it in the end, and the Petty family started what is now the Victory Junction Gang, and which is a official charity of NASCAR now, and has, I think, isn't it something about terminally ill kids being able to go somewhere? And
it's it's like cool. Walt Disney World for terminally ill kids as it relates to NASCAR. It's like NASCAR Walt Disney World for terminally ill kids, and it's fully funded by the foundation.
And I have donated to that in the past, and have donated that in the present. And it's a real cool thing. They set it up in honor of Adam Petty. There's, I think Adam Petty's car is actually there and everything. So, something good came out of the whole thing. And, PETM 45 and hats off to Adam Petty, the number 45 right here. So, let's get into some fun now. Let's talk some fun. Dude, for the first time in the history of the universe, the PETM podcast car hit the track on Friday night, didn't it?
It sure did. How cool was that? And thanks so much to the Periscope operator.
Periscope operator Heather Hansen at Heather number 2 Kids 412. So Heather 2 Kids 412. Y'all follow her on the Periscope and watch that PETM podcast car.
That was a lot of fun. We saw a really nasty wreck. So somebody jumped out the stands, ran down and punched a driver in the face while he was still sitting in his car. I don't know what to think about that.
Local dirt tracking at its best, man.
Yeah, that's what they used to say about the track in Winston-Salem, Bowman Gray, where it's. I mean, if they
show up to a fight and a race breaks out.
It's a fist fight you attend and sometimes a race breaks out.
It was insane, and I'm sitting here telling you this. I got my money's worth. We've got the podcast money's worth on sponsorship of Kenny Smith's car, the 24K car in Donaldson, Iowa, the Lee County Speedway, if I get it all right, and he ended up finishing 9th, I believe. So a top 10 finish for Kenny on the track. Kept his car clean, well, mostly clean. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of racing going on.
Yeah, it looked like he was doing a little bit of work in between heat racing and the main.
Yeah, but that PTM
cosmetics.
PTM podcast car, man, that was so cool to watch it go around the track. I'm on the edge of my seat, Friday night lights, doing the thing. That was really cool to watch.
I really enjoyed it. I think that's a lot of fun.
Just amateur video on it, and I'm on the edge of my seat. My wife's our old producer, the Frizz 11's asking me questions. I'm going, wait, we're turning laps. Hold on. So what a blast that was to watch. Y'all watch the next one. Root for that car. Hey, that car has got that bright orange, and it's the only one.
It's easy to find out there.
Oh yeah, real easy to see on the track. So go Kenny, keep doing it, and top 10 finish, dude. What more can you ask for with the sponsorship? That's what y'all get, y'all.
Yeah, can't wait to see the next one. That's going to be a lot of fun. I have really enjoyed what this opportunity has, like how it's involved us and the way it involves us on social media and the outlets we have now with Periscope. I mean, just 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to watch that because Periscope didn't exist.
No, right. Yeah, the technology is facilitating the awareness and the fun that we're having. Anyway, so I've got something to admit to, and I'm going to go ahead and play the noise.
Oh, dude's leg.
Dude's leg, it's back. So last week, I went back and listened to last week's episode, and while I was listening, I said a dodo thing, and then you repeated said dodo thing, and then I called you out for saying the dodo thing. It was real funny.
Oh, I remember that now after listening. I meant to get pissed off at you for that.
I said, oh, yeah, over in the Nationwide series, they did blah, blah, blah. And you said, yeah, it was a nationwide race, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, you said nationwide. So I tried to get out of it, but I'm not going to let myself get out of it here. That was funny.
Well, and I said, I think I said we were going to race 500 miles at Bristol, which would be awesome. It would be awesome. Jeff Gluck would cry himself to sleep if we did that. But yeah, no,
I have to do it cricket style, like over.
Usually, I catch myself when I do that, but that happens. And we actually ran 266 miles. I think is what it turns out to be, but it's 500 laps. The NASCAR does a really good job of trying to trip everybody up with that because some races are named after how many laps you turn, and some races are named after how many miles you turn.
And in the rare case, we get kilometers. You remember that?
Phoenix, we always get that at Phoenix and at
Vegas. We
Sonoma
because they wanted to do the what was the Boss 420 or something like that? Not 420.
427.
427, but that wouldn't have been in Vegas. I can't remember.
No, that was actually miles though, and it was Vegas because it was Shelby.
There was something. Yeah, there was something else then. Yeah,
we ran the Shelby 427 one time, so they added 27 miles to the race.
But yeah, we'll get a 500 and they race 300 something miles and we're like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, throw us the kilometers trying to get us converted over to that Euro system. I don't know about all that.
We get the Phoenix Subway 500 that's 313 laps because it's a 1 mile race, and they call it. And the Toyota Save Mart 350, I'm pretty sure that's also kilometers.
That's a good pull right there. Let's talk about Bristol. How about Bristol?
Bristol? Did we just race at Bristol?
We did just race at Bristol.
Cool.
And it's funny. While sitting there watching I'm jumping the Cup right here, but we'll go to Xfinity first. I had to think about that word for a second. Before I messed myself up. And had to play car crash again next week with the dude's leg and everything. So, Cup race, I'm pretty sure Sherwin and I just decided while texting during the race that we're going to go ahead and go to that race next year, ain't we?
Why wouldn't we?
I don't know. Why weren't we there this year?
I don't know.
Have an
we didn't really. We in all fairness, we didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we hinted that maybe we would try to go to next week's deal, 4 days from now's deal, but we realized we weren't going to be able to do that. Maybe we can put something else together. I don't know.
So,
I'm sorry. My bad.
Man, Sherwin's playing with the putty already. We're not even at the end of the podcast.
I know,
He's already into the fart putty.
I needed to practice.
So, Xfinity race. Let's go there first. So, first we have the Dash for Cash, man. How excited are you for Dash for Cash?
Don't give a spit at all. I'm glad a driver gets to win more money for what they're doing because it's stressful, but that program does nothing for me.
To me, and especially the reach that we have and the people that we're talking to, the people that you and I are talking to, are the lower funded teams and the guys who have wrenches in the car and are really battling every week for this. They don't stand a chance at this. So who do we have out there really fighting for this cash is well-funded teams.
Teams that don't need the money.
I'm not going to say they don't need it. Well, they don't need it.
Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't need any more money.
No, they don't. So it's just weird to me. It's weird that they would bring this out. I mean, obviously they're trying to mimic the $1 million deal. I can't even remember the name of it right now. Putting me on the spot.
The Winston Million.
Yeah, Winston Million. Yeah, trying to mimic that a bit, put it in right. Xfinity, see what happens.
Well, they didn't realize the reason why the Winston Million was so popular and so much fun is because of Bill Elliott. The fact that he actually won all the races or won enough to qualify or whatever it is, because nobody else ever did.
Right. But yeah, I even
$1 million bill.
Yeah. And I even posted on Twitter, I said, who can't wait for the third place finisher to win $100,000?
Because it was on pace for that. and if they'd have let the race go green, that's exactly what we would have seen. But we would have seen one of the most compelling races we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. It would have involved two drivers who would also be in the race a couple of years ago that we would rank in that same category of most compelling Xfinity races that we've seen in a long time. Like, that was awesome.
That was real cool. The ending of that was amazing. Enjoyed every bit of it. We had heat racing, which I think is something that deserves a little bit of, we're not going to poo-poo all over NASCAR on this thing, but heck, that was I would say an experiment that you kind of go, you know what Thomas Edison said, where he said, you say I failed 1,000 times, I found 1,000 ways to not, make a light bulb, and then I found a way to make it.
Right. Well, I think the general consensus is that most people are excited that NASCAR is willing to take some chances and make some changes. This one was a miss. Yep. So, the stretch goal for them should be maybe if you don't get something in place for this weekend in Richmond, because we're going back-to-back with this process.
Yep.
But by the time we get to Indy, something's got to be different. And
it's got to be different because Indy.
There's going to be 11 people at Indy, and I don't want I don't want to detract from the show. But there's going to be 11 people at Indy. That race needs to be at IRP. I'll let it rest from there.
Yeah, but we talked about it even at the beginning of the year, which was how is this going to work at Indy? And now that we know how it works at Bristol, when we get to Indy, who's going to be watching this on the edge of their seat with bated breath, thinking, all right, got to see who's going to get in for the Dash for Cash.
Nobody watches Xfinity at Indy.
Yeah.
Not in person and not on television.
And so a few things, if you're going to do these heat races, first off, I would say one thing is as soon as the checkered flies on the first one, start your engines on the second one. Because, boy, that was tough.
Right, well, they said it was 15
minutes.
and 20 and 25 minutes in between all these things.
Yep.
That doesn't work because even if you built excitement with the heat racing, if you wait 25 minutes to start, you are going to lose people who, at that point, don't have an explanation for why they're sitting on the couch from their wives or their kids. Or if they're single, maybe they have stuff to do. They're like, if they had... if they just went ahead and started this
Braves
thing
game.
at 4, at 3:30, I could go do the next thing. Yeah. What if it's I got a 4:00 tailgate at the Braves game. If they went ahead and ran this thing, I could watch the whole thing. But they're going to fart around for 30 minutes. I can't do it. So I'm just going to DVR it and watch it later, and then you get no credit for the ratings if you're a television company.
So old Sherwin and Rusty here, we came up with a couple ideas.
We did.
We were texting back and forth a little bit. My idea, and y'all got to remember, and here's the weird part. People at the end were going crazy. Oh, that was an amazing race, blah, blah, blah. And it was a really good finish. And Eric Jones passing 2 Cup guys to take the win, whether or not that the Dash for Cash mattered, I don't care. But that was a real cool finish to watch. But, just 200 laps ago, we were talking about, boy, we should have just made this a 300-lap race and just raced it. And
why didn't we?
And just do that. And
so if the premise for having a 200-lap race is we're going to have a shorter event, then I'm going to lean on Spotter Brett and TJ Majors when they said, we actually made this a longer event by adding heat racing that was of no consequence. So if we're trying to create the ADD shorter event.
Yep.
That we totally missed on that too. That's a whole nother miss.
The millennials, man. The millennials. How are we going to get
I don't mind trying to figure out how we're going to get millennials to be involved because we're going to need them. 15 years from now, we're going to need millennials.
Well, for sure, and that's what I'm agreeing with you there. That you're losing the interest in that. I'm in it because I'm committed anyway. But you're going to lose those, like you said, the ADD folks who, why am I watching this 50-lap race where nobody changes positions? I could be watching F1 if I wanted to see that. Whoa! Did Rusty just do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I just pooped on F1. Anyway, so I said, why don't we run 300 laps? And if you want it to tighten up, if you want them to come to the front or whatever, make them pit at the 50 and 100 lap marks. It kind of makes the heat race. It puts them, it rejiggers them back in order. Maybe bring everybody back on the lead lap. I don't care.
Hey, I will be accused of backpedaling on this because we definitely talked about the shot clock and the trucks as something that was like, man, I'm not really sure that I want something like that. I would much prefer a shot clock or a lap clock to heat racing, to your point. Let's run 50 laps with all the cars on the track, and then we'll stop. Have a competition caution, just like if it rained. And then everybody gets a chance to do a pit stop, and then we go back at it.
Yep.
And then we race to a lap 100, like you said, and we do the same thing again. And then it's like, all right, 200 laps, y'all get after it.
Yeah,
we're going to call the cautions when y'all screw up. Otherwise, we're going to race.
Game on. And I think it's worth bringing up what you said, which is, let's give NASCAR some props. I'm very okay with the shot clock deal. What do we call it? Caution clock. Caution clock.
We're supposed to call it caution clock.
Yeah, we'll turn it around. We'll still call it nationwide every once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, I like calling it shot clock because.
Oh, I just knocked
over the trash can.
I knocked over the trash can, all up into Sherwin too.
Jerk.
But I'm very okay with it. I'll give them props. They said give us a chance, and we gave them a chance, and it's okay. Now with heat races, they say give us a chance. We gave them a chance, and we're going. What the hell was that for?
Yeah, we gave it the chance. We weighed in on the fan council survey. I was not an a-hole, but I was very strict in my response that I don't think they got it right. But I did commend them for trying something new.
Yep. And then we got... So, I think we're in the minority here, you and I.
We always are.
So
that's why we started this podcast to begin with.
True. We just wanted to yell.
It's ironic that we actually have people paying attention.
Yeah. What are y'all doing? We talked even last week about that. I don't want to pay for a ticket and have less racing, but from fans to drivers to media to NASCAR brass, everybody said that 200-lap race at Bristol created more excitement, it created a better finish, and it created more urgency for the drivers. I
don't believe any of that.
It's hard for me to say. I don't believe it when I hear the drivers say it. And so I'm not trying to say I'm a convert, because as a fan, as the type of fan that I am, I want more racing. Like we said, give me the Bristol 1000. Give me the 500-mile race at Bristol. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But I think we have to address that.
Which drivers said it was better?
There were...
Or more intense?
You're putting me on the spot. I'll
that's
tell you
okay. No, that's
afterwards.
okay. I'm just saying I didn't hear it.
No, they interviewed some of the drivers afterwards, and they said, yeah, this shortened race was great.
Were they coached by NASCAR to say that?
Now we're getting into tinfoil hat. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Is that tinfoil hat, or is that just a decent
I don't know.
question?
The corporation told them to do blah, blah, blah. No,
Yeah.
I'm messing with you now. But I didn't see
NFL tells teams not to talk about concussions.
It's a good point. But, one of my issues with it was that in 200 laps, there's only really 8 people who have a shot at this thing, based on tire strategy, based on fuel strategy, based on just being able to move to the front, blah, blah, blah. You're talking about a 100-mile race. I mean, heck, that's from, here to just past Macon.
Right. It's a one pit stop race, and the pit stop's probably going to happen under caution.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that really you need 2 pit stops. That's all I'm going to say.
Obviously they learned something from the heat race that they could make an adjustment for.
Well, and that's the other thing. They had all the time in between to make some adjustments to the car too. So maybe that created the better racing and the better finish and all that.
But how do you compared to what? What's better compared to better? Like, we had a race that didn't have heat racing 2 years ago with Kyle and Kyle that was every bit as good as what we had, and it actually went green, so we got to see it play out with Kyle and Kyle bumper to bumper coming out of turn 4 and beating the hell out of each other, and maybe some veteran savvy is the reason why Kyle Busch won that race. But that was that didn't have any heat racing.
It's a good point. I think how soon we forget is a word I'll put there, or the phrase I'll put there.
Yeah. Well, this is the part where I have to manage whether or not I cuss, because I think the in the moment stuff is one of the biggest things that NASCAR misses is, yeah, the race we just had was awesome. It was really crappy that you called a caution on 2 cars that actually stayed in the gas after they wrecked each other and were not in the way. So we could have had 12 more laps of Kyle and Kyle battling it out. And the second thing is, why did we have to run 10 laps of caution for cars that didn't wreck?
Now that is a great point. What are we doing running all these caution
Why are we
laps?
running down races from 10 laps to a green-white checker when we could freeze it? And I get that in the Cup Series for sure you got the fuel mileage thing where people are trying to stretch depending on where we go. There may be a fuel strategy, but if you know before the race starts that every caution lap with 10 to go doesn't count, then you will plan accordingly.
Yep, you just got some props on Periscope for that comment, which is, you're very right. And I forgot to even give NASCAR some feedback on that on the fan survey this week, because, what are we doing running, like you said,
it happens every week.
10 laps of caution, and especially at a place like Bristol where there's 10 to go. There's so much.
There was no oil on the track. There was no debris.
Yeah. If you're at Indy and there's 10 to go and you run 2 caution laps, so be it.
Well, it takes 25 minutes to do that.
Exactly.
For one.
Exactly. But if you're at Bristol and you're running 10 caution laps and there are only 15 to go, shoot, you're killing it.
Yeah, you're blowing out the end of the race for the sake of a shootout when I think most fans would rather see, like, if green-white checker was always 5 or 10 laps, Not that you could do that. I don't think that would work. But if that's what it was, or like we see in dirt track racing in a lot of different series, is when with 10 to go, cautions don't count. Or if we're doing a heat race, like we were doing, we did heat races and then we did a main, right? Well, not most, I won't say that, but in a lot of heat and main series, caution laps don't count. Now, a lot of the reason is they give them more gas than they would ever need to finish the race. So that's a different thing to try to manage.
Well, yeah, they're doing 25-lap races. And
if you're doing a 30-lap feature and you got 20 gallons of gas in the thing, it doesn't matter. But can we migrate? Can we meld the two together to where we don't bleed all these laps late? Because it mattered. I mean, Kyle Busch probably would have won that race if there was 10 more laps to go. Or maybe even Kyle Larson. He was ahead. Eric Jones probably doesn't. Now, we got ourselves not a new winner, but a new this year winner, a new full-time winner.
And a non-cup winner.
And a non-cup winner. So people are going to start to ignore all the extraneous details of how it played out, particularly because Kyle Busch didn't win, and there's a strong contingent that is against Kyle Busch winning on Saturdays. So you know what? You put all those things together, you put them in the blender, and what you get is a milkshake. You can't tell what the ingredients were to begin with. And there's nothing to be learned from it other than I don't think they got it right. That's all I'm saying.
They got the last 3 laps right.
My milkshake didn't taste as good as I wanted it to.
Did it not bring the boys to the yard?
It did. Well, it didn't. There wasn't nobody in that yard. So that's part of the point.
Right.
Although that race should have.
Let's talk about Cup. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Cup race, now I've watched every race except Texas, and we were at the Atlanta race. Didn't watch Texas because I was in Asheville, y'all. I was drinking beer. Give me a little bit of something there. Oh,
drinking beer in NASCAR country.
Sherwin is
I'm about to eat some of these 80 proof or
down
40
to the
proof.
cherries.
What is 80 proof?
We'll call it 80 proof, whether they are or not. We'll call it 80 proof. We'll call it 80 proof ice you're eating on too. Why not? He's making faces.
That's a stout cherry.
Like I said, we went to Atlanta. We saw the other races. Like I said, except for Texas, for me, I would call that from green to checker the most intriguing race, the most edge of my seat, watching it the entire time. The best race this season was this Bristol Cup race. I was not. Usually I'm laying on my couch and I'm farting around on my phone or something and watching, kind of half watching the race, or we're listening to drivers on the radio deal and all that. This one, man, both feet were on the ground, butt was on the edge of my seat. I didn't need my whole couch. I just needed the edge of it. It was fantastic. Great race.
I thought it was a great race. I was surprised that anyone would say it wasn't, because I'm trying to figure out why that might be.
Well, see, Martinsville, another short track race that we had, I felt like even in the middle there, I think I judge races by the middle. You're all amped up for the beginning. The end, you're watching, seeing what everybody's doing. If you can get the middle right, then you've got you a good race. And I'm on the edge of my seat in the middle of Bristol.
Well, I think the problem we had at Martinsville is we had a lot of green, and people tend to kind of get zoned out on that because Bristol, we didn't make a green flag pit stop at Bristol.
Good point.
All 9 were under caution, so that's different. And I think Bristol, generally speaking, Bristol falls that way. There's never more than a handful of green flag stops at Bristol.
Yeah,
it just creates so many problems that you're going to have cautions. Martinsville has the ability to be an on-off switch in that respect, which is why I think we talked a little bit, not to dwell on the past, but maybe they don't quite have this package set up right, because if we're going green for 165 laps or whatever we did at Martinsville, then
or whatever we did.
No,
at
it was
Atlanta.
more than that. It was 265, I think.
We did damn near 200 at Atlanta.
Yeah, we went 100
mile and a half.
Yeah, we went 201 at Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that's too many. But, yeah, I mean, the race was fun. Like, what do you want from a race if you didn't like Bristol? Like, what do you expect from a race if you didn't like what you saw at Bristol?
So this is what concerns me is, number one, I mean, everybody saw the attendance. right? I mean, you saw the attendance. That place was half filled at best.
Well, I learned something about that. We can talk about in a minute.
Yeah, and two, the apparently that was the lowest ratings for a Fox broadcast. There's some qualifiers there, but it was one of the lowest ratings for television broadcast too. Ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody watching it. What in the hell?
Yeah. Well, there was a couple of things.
All right.
For Sunday, well, no, I can't say that about Sunday. Honestly, I can't. What I will say is I learned something as being a part of the Bristol Fan Advisory Board that I didn't know before.
Fancy pants.
And I would expect that a lot of people probably don't know before. Is that thing trying to die?
I'll look at it.
Is that during Bristol's 55 race stretch, where they sold out 55 in a row, you had to buy the spring race to get to go to the night race in August. You had to buy season tickets.
Yeah, so you might as well go, I guess.
Right. So 2009 was the first year you didn't have to do that. The recession, they made an adjustment thinking financially, we don't think this is good for our fans.
Yeah, right about the time you and me started going every year.
Because them showing up in August is better than them not showing up to either race because of the finances. So that had an enormous impact on the race sellout streak. So how do we rebuild? Like, that's the next step. We've been talking. I mean, they're all talking about it. So we don't have to decide here how it's going to be done.
Well, sure. We said, one thing I said to you is the prices, because me and you pay the prices. The prices are still at 2002, 2004 demand. And demand in 2002, 2004 was, there's Lambeau, which you have to sign up your grandkids before they're born.
Or the Masters.
Or the Masters, which you have to be somebody.
Yeah.
And then there's Bristol. And that was it. And now you can walk up day of and get Bristol. Holy crap.
Not only that, you could probably, if you play all your outlets appropriately, you could probably get a free ticket from a group that's handing them out, trying to get people there.
Yeah. So I think one thing is got to consider cost. If you can.
Well, and I didn't know this. So these are we've looked at hotels before, just out of pure curiosity. Because we always said that at some point in our racing fandom career, we want to stay in those condos because that just looks like
right
too much fun.
Street. That would be ridiculous.
And you're talking about a couple $1,000s just to stay there.
Which, I mean, yeah.
At some point, we'll do it.
Yep.
But the thing is, most of the hotels in the area, and when I say in the area, I mean like within 30 miles.
The Tri-County area?
Yeah, like the Tri-State area.
Virginia, North Carolina.
They have minimum 3-night and 4-night stays at $400 a night.
Wow.
So, and I mean, we avoid that. Like, we get pissed off when we cruised into the primitive campground with our tent, and they said, "Oh, it's $100 this year." And we're like, "Good Lord, dude!"
Yeah. You're really fleecing us now.
5 years ago, it was $30.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I paid $15.
You're up like 310%.
Yeah.
In 5 years. So,
but still, we stay a quarter mile from the track in primitive tent camping for essentially $50 a night or $33 a night, however many nights you stay if you're doing 2 or 3 nights.
Right, and
cool.
There's that whole shower thing. Well, Bristol has public showers over by the dragway, which is fine, and some of the locals will sell you an opportunity to take a shower for $10. So if you look at the expenditure overall, it's a lot more reasonable than $400 a night with a mandatory 4-night stay.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think it's Darlington where they sell those $8 showers. And I was a little skeptical at first, but I think it was hot, and I was like, I just really need me a shower, a good shower. Mm-hmm. Well, here's what happens. You go take a shower, and then this dude runs in there afterwards and cleans the place top to bottom. I'm talking
bleaches the hell out of it.
Bleaches, I mean, yeah, your eyes might sting a little bit from the bleach, but that place is pristine. It's better than my bathroom right over there.
Yeah.
Better than my bathroom.
Sure better than mine.
And so, guys, if you can make Bristol... And you can deal with primitive tent camping, which, I mean, y'all, we have a mobile podcast studio that we do in primitive tent camping. I mean, we set it up. We've got the microphones. We've got the computers. We've got internet connection, all the rest of it.
Yeah, we need to post some of those pictures again as we get ready to go into the season here, or get back into our race season, which really is the end of the summer when we really hit it hard. But like we do the best we can with what we've got, and I don't have a problem walking down there a couple 100 yards and paying $8 to take a nice shower.
Yep,
no big deal at all.
So Bristol cousin Carl does the backflips.
Black flips?
I don't know how black flips.
Are you being racist over there?
No, I promise. Cousin Carl does the backflips, but I got to tell you the story of the post race. I mean, hands down goes to. There you go. Nice work on the beer top. Goes to Matt DiBenedetto in the BK Racing, finishing 6th.
How cool is that? How cool is it? I mean, I want to give all of the positive stuff to Matt DiBenedetto, because that guy, how can he not like that guy? And like how much he appreciated the success that he had at the end of the race, and how much his family appreciated it, and how much it was obvious they worked so hard to get to that spot. I hope that he'll get a chance to race a car that can contend to win, but he damn sure almost did it with a car that shouldn't have.
I mean, I'll tell you what, had he finished 6th and just said, yeah, we had a great race car, blah, blah, everybody who finishes 6th, we wouldn't be talking about him. We wouldn't be talking about nothing. But you saw the passion. You saw you almost saw the amount of work that he and the family and everybody has put into that car just in his interview afterwards. And, I mean, he was fighting back tears. He was fighting back. It was those happy laughter tears that he was fighting back, just trying to, and now I'm like getting excited here about it.
They weren't Jordan tears.
No.
To your point.
No, they were Jordan tears. Nice. But it was unbelievable to see a guy just that. I shouldn't say unbelievable. It's what you want to see at the end of a race when somebody has won.
Well, it was like AJ at Martinsville, although AJ's had some success and at a different level than Matt has, but he saw he finished second or third, and he was like out of his mind happy.
Yeah, he was going
nuts.
And
that's what one of the things we love about racing. We forget about these guys that are used to pulling into victory lane, leading 400 laps every race.
And they've already got their speech. They already know what their speech is. They do their speech. Yeah, we had a great car today. I didn't think they'd pull it together. The crew was fantastic. Had some good pit stops. Ran up front. We didn't really deserve it, but it was a great car. Made the right adjustments. Shout out to my crew chief. Here's a list of sponsors. Did I do it right?
Something like that. Yeah. Well, especially, Carl's the best at it. He's got the sponsor sheet download in his brain. He just clicks the button.
Hey, that's DW style right there.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not.
Kenny Wallace.
I guess it sounded like I was putting him down for that, but I'm not. I said on Twitter, Carl is a marketing genius. He knows.
Sure.
He's studied. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and to his credit, it works, and he's very good at it.
Yeah. So what can I say? If you're not a Matt DiBenedetto fan now, then you just need to go back and watch that.
Well, you need to punch yourself in the face if you're not.
Or elsewhere, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
or if you're a dude, for sure sit on a chain link fence.
I was happy. I did pick Kurt Busch. I think he finished 3rd or 4th, something like that. Who else did we who did you start? I can't even remember. Because we're fixing to go into Richmond, and we have to figure out.
It was Bristol, right?
Yeah, it was Bristol. Who'd you pick for Bristol?
We've been talking about Bristol for 45 minutes, so I'm trying to figure out where we just raced.
We went to Bristol?
I want to say I picked Joey.
Okay.
Why do I always forget?
No telling. I was happy with who I picked. I did in the fantasy pick Carl, so I was happy about that. But I didn't talk about it either. Trevor Bayne, didn't he have a top 5?
He finished 5th. But there's somebody else we want to talk about too.
Who's that?
Trevor finished 5th, which represents his best finish since he won the 2010 Daytona 5, or was it 2011? 2010, 2011?
Whichever one it was, yep.
The Daytona 500.
Yep.
So it's been about 6 years since he had a top 5.
Yep.
It happened last week, and it happened at his hometown racetrack because he's from Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
So good for him. Great drive. Guess what?
What?
Chase Elliott finished 4th.
Wow. That was a great finish. and that's that just goes to show. I think it goes to show, too, these guys who are, the young guys are.
And Blaney was 11th, by the way. How about these rookies, man?
Yeah. Yeah, how about these rookies? I keep talking about it every single podcast. I feel like I'm talking about the level of competition that we have this year is beyond what we've seen in any other year. So very cool. Trevor Bayne 5th, but he didn't make as much news just because that's the difference in the amount of emotion that goes into these things when DiBenedetto gets 6th and he gets more press than I would even say, at least on the outlets that I'm looking at, than Carl Edwards winning, and certainly Trevor Bayne grabbing 5th. Anyway,
yeah. Well, there's 2 other. I don't know where you're trying to get to next, but there's 2 other drivers we should mention for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Boyer gets in 8th place. Dude finally gets it out of the ditch.
It's been a wide and long ditch for Clint Boyer, and man, if you don't love Clint Boyer, you just gotta.
You don't like having fun if you don't like Clint Boyer.
That's for sure.
I mean,
that's what
there are going to be people out there that are not going to forgive him for that thing at Richmond. But if you can't find a way to like Clint Boyer, you just don't like having fun. That's all there is to it. You hate fun.
We've said it on the podcast before. What Dale Jr. said was, when hell parties, they raise Clint Boyer.
That's right. Junior said that. All right. So the guy with 4 million followers said, "I like to party, but he's better at
it." yeah. So,
and speaking of
Redneck
Jesus,
2nd place finish.
2nd place after
he's knocking on the door of that win.
Car that wouldn't go at the start of the race. A little bit of an electronic issue.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Luckily, it didn't cause a pileup, though a bunch of cars got dinged up in the front.
Yep.
Dude's car got a little dinged up.
Dude's car got a little dinged up, but otherwise went 2 laps down. He started in DFL, as we've said on the podcast
DFL.
before. Dead, fill in your word here, last.
Yeah. Funny words that start with F.
Started DFL, essentially, in 2 laps down, and finished the race 2nd place.
2nd place. And the cool thing to hear about, because we didn't get to watch it because TV doesn't show these kinds of things, is that Junior was on the warpath. Like, he really didn't like the way his car was driving, so he was having to knock everybody out of the way on the way to get there.
Geronimo.
Yeah. I mean, like, if he got in there halfway, he's sliding up and banging into folks. And
doing the video game
I
style.
think good for him. The only problem was the broadcast didn't figure out that's what he was doing, and he was making headway, and they didn't show it. They missed an opportunity to showcase their most popular driver driving the drive of his life from last to almost first.
Yeah, that was a cool drive to watch. I've been not a Dale Jr. fan before, and if that doesn't help convert you, then what can you say?
Yeah, he can't drive. Oh, he's a terrible driver. He rides his daddy's coattails. Yeah, how about you FO?
Yeah.
Just FO on that.
Let's talk Richmond. Speaking of Richmond with Clint Boyer and all that.
Speaking of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Real good at Richmond.
So, funny story real quick about Richmond. I think I've told it on I can't remember if I told it on podcast before, but I think it was 2 years ago. Our esteemed producer, the Frizz 11, and I went to Richmond. We actually went to Williamsburg, went to the roller coaster park out there. We always do that for the anniversary and ride some roller coasters somewhere. Just that kind of people. But on the last day and in the last few hours, went over to Richmond Speedway, and I convinced a fellow to let me walk in and pretty much stand up against the track and look at it. It was real cool. It's right there in Richmond. It's one of the, kind of like Daytona is in Daytona. Richmond is in Richmond right there. And ended up, I'm in a rental car, and they have, hey, for $20, we'll let you do some laps around the track. You got to follow this pace car that's going 50. And I was like, well, I mean, what's the deal with that? They're like,
50.
As long as you're behind the pace car, we don't care. It's like, all right. So, of course, I'll rusty sandbags a little bit. And
old gears are turning in the head there.
Oh, yeah. Old gears are turning. A lot of stuff going on old Duder's head. So, ended up, here's the funny part. Of course, I sandbag. Of course, I'm pulled back. Coming out of turn 2, I just slapped the gas to catch back up. I'm in a rental car, y'all, and it's like a Chevy, who cares, Caprice. I don't know.
It's like trying to find a wife at a house of ill repute. You're going to wear out a rental car.
Yeah, you're going to wear it out. So, ended up going probably around 80 to 85 mile an hour down the back stretch. I was having a blast. The Frizz 11, my wife, our esteemed producer, she, unbeknownst to me, is recording video of me going down the backstretch. And just to show you how I'm not trying to show off for the video, I'm not trying to show off for her or nothing. This is just me having fun. There's a video of old Rusty out there. Maybe I'll try to find it and put it on the old tweeter box there. But there's a video of old Rusty driving down the back straightaway, making car noises and screaming, NASCAR! I'm going, brr, brr, NASCAR! In a Chevrolet, who cares, piece of junk rental car.
Just tin can.
Oh, yeah. 3-cylinder, going 80 miles an hour, almost losing traction everywhere. So that's my Richmond story.
It's your Richmond story.
And we need to get to Richmond. That place is cool as Christmas. But let's talk about Richmond.
Let's talk about it. So I think the underlying theme this year is they moved it to Sunday, thinking they would get better ratings and they would get more families to attend because of the earlier start time and, of course, finish.
I think it's a good call. I think it's a good
call to try it.
It makes it so I can't play golf on Sunday, but it makes it a good call in terms of when I'm not playing golf on Sunday, that means I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs if it's a Saturday night race going, well, what do I do today? So,
well, I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there, although I do like watching the Braves games on Sunday afternoons. I do like my night racing, I'll be honest with you. I dig on my night racing. However, if the hot temperatures and therefore slick or speedway make for a better race, I'm all about it. But if we don't get the viewership and we don't get the attendance, then I want it to go back to a night race next year.
Yeah, I think we'll get attendance. Again, it's one of those that's right in the heart of the city. There's no reason for people not to just go on a Sunday afternoon. I feel like we should have ratings. Whoa, excuse me there. We should have ratings because it's on Sunday. Sunday always does better than Saturday anyway. With a couple, very few exceptions. So I think we'll be all right.
I agree with you on that. Ratings typically do better on Sunday because there's less competition for going out and having fun and or sporting events. And right now we've got hockey and NBA are full swing in their playoffs, and that's going to draw a lot of eyes. And those games are typically played on Saturday nights during the playoff stretch. So I don't think it's a bad idea.
Speaking of, the Hawks.
How did the Hawks end up
playing? Do you want to know? Because we weren't able to watch. We're doing the PETM podcast.
Well, it was 24-3.
Hawks won by 17.
Nice. So they maintained
2-0 over the Celtics. So go Hawks.
Yeah,
whether you like it or not.
Suck on it, Bastin.
Bastin.
I can't even make their noise.
Whatever.
Did you see that?
What's that?
NASCAR had a bunch of different drivers try to. They practiced, and then they tried to imitate a Boston accent to get ready for Loudon.
I did see that.
I was hoping Bill Burr...
Funny, yeah.
I was hoping Bill Burr would figure it out that they did that, and then next week's Monday morning podcast he would crap all over it.
Let's do some picks.
All right, cool.
I'm not sure I got the audio quite on the right level for that, but...
that was a little quiet, I think.
Yeah, let's do it. Kurt Busch third, so I think I get first pick. Oh, boy, Kurt Busch was running up front, too. I was like, if I get 3 in a row, I might just eat my hat. But it didn't happen, so my hat's safe, and it's still got Bubba Wallace's signature on here, so I'm happy about that.
I suck at this.
Do we? Let's see. I want. So here's my issue. I want to pick Kurt Busch. He won last year. He's knocking on the door now, but I've picked Kurt Busch 2 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row is kind of phoning it in here. I mean,
I'll call you John Roberts here in a minute.
Right. So I'm going to pick Joey. I'm going with Joey.
You son of a...
I got you.
Oh, no. I never thought you'd do that.
Joey won 2 years ago, and he's not going to... JGR, man. JGR, except for the tires at Bristol deal, whatever that whole
Camber.
story was.
We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't talk about
oh, well, whatever.
JGR geometry at Bristol. But
clearly they were up to something. All right, fine. You left the door open.
Do it.
I'm taking Redneck Jesus. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Is that a boy? Redneck. I said Redneck Genius. Whatever.
He's smart,
Jesus.
too.
Yep.
Both apply.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to take Dale Earnhardt. So does that mean I get to pick now Dark Horse or you do?
Go for it.
No, I want you to.
Jeez. It's hard to...
Because I know what I'm going to say. That's the thing. And I'm a very repeatable... I'm John Roberts when it comes to the Dark Horse.
Yeah. So you're going to pick Chase?
Yeah. I mean, I am if you don't.
No. I feel like it's one of those phone it in deals. Like, as far as Dark Horse goes, so I went kind of picking under caution. You made fun of me even before I made my pick last week on Dark Horse because my Dark Horse was Casey Kane. I think he finished 17th, but he was running top 10 all week or all day.
They got caught up in one of those getting in the first line deals.
Yeah.
So Junior went from like 16th to 8th to 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Casey went from like 6th to 12th to 17th.
Yeah.
In the same set of cautions because he kept, and I said even numbers, but he went from like 7th to 13th to 17th because he was on the bottom all of those starts.
I'm going to change my answer.
Okay.
Because I was about to
change it.
Do one answer, and now I'm going to do another one. I'm going to throw Clint Boyer out there. This is a track that requires some experience. It's a bit old school. Darlington and Richmond, I feel like, are kind of the old school places, especially having been to Richmond.
During the day it is. As long as we want it to be as hot as it's ever been for a Richmond race. I think that's going to be the best way to produce a good race. I hope it's 85 degrees with the sun shining.
Yep. So, Clint Boyer, who you got? You going with Chase?
Yeah, I'm going with Chase.
It's a good call.
It's
a good call. Why not?
The kids won there in an Xfinity car.
Why not? Well, we had one fan question this week. We'll start closing it out.
Yeah, why not?
Ashley Stang, right?
Yeah, Smashly.
So I believe she asked on Taco Tuesday, which it is right now, right?
Yeah, today's Taco Tuesday.
Sushi
Tuesday for me. I had sushi.
Oh, nice. I had spaghetti. So here we go, y'all. I mean, hide your children, hide your wife. But the question is...
Right, this thing will go off the rails every now and again.
It could. On Taco Tuesday, which end do you want it coming out of if things go awry on Taco Tuesday? And what's funny, didn't Ashley ask us about boxers versus briefs? She's getting kind of...
she's trying to skate the line of what's okay.
Well, no,
but I appreciate that.
Getting intimate with the PETM podcast guys.
She's talking. She asked about underwear. Now she's asking about bodily functions.
Right. Well, I'll say this,
especially when you get upset, like
I'll
when
say
bodily.
This. No, go ahead. Yep.
No, go ahead.
So I'll say this about it. Rusty's not a big fan of puking, man.
I hate puking.
Yeah, I don't like puking. And the other thing,
if I can sit down and manage it, and play with my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't,
puking is like you gotta stand up to puke. You gotta, it's an ordeal. You might end up just sleeping on the bathroom floor. I mean, it's a whole ordeal, right? The other thing,
you can't drink while you puke. I mean, if the other thing's going on, you can still drink.
Let's stop it there. If you don't like that, you need to leave, y'all. That's PETM podcast right there.
I mean, that's as PETM as a podcast is going to get. Oh, hell, that's
man, it's about time to start closing this thing out. When we start closing it out, you know what that means. It is the Jelly Bean Challenge time.
Close out challenge.
Here we go.
I'm Jelly Bean in my mouth here.
I'm pretty good. Let's do some shout-outs.
Who's that out to?
Oh, shoot. I didn't do the sheet. Oh, well.
Well, we can do, we smashed it just now. So Ashley Stang, that's at Ashley J. Stang with an E that is There's no way to describe why that E is there. Must be some kind of European thing. The right front tire at T right front tire. Big fan of the show.
If y'all want more BS and
Friend
more,
of the show. Friend.
If y'all want more BS like we do, y'all follow the Over the Wall Racing guys at Over the Wall Race.
Over the Wall Race.
Tire
Hashtag OTWR.
Yeah, they're killing it over there, having a good old time. Dude.
Oh, Udder. How about at Jim_Udder, and that's udder like a cow's udder.
Yep.
UDDER.
Yeah, part of the PETM posse.
He's jumped on the bus.
Everybody grab your beer. Hey, we've got breaking news.
We got some breaking news.
Bob Pockers just got engaged. So,
oh, I heard that.
Yeah.
I read that actually.
Good on you, Bobby Pock.
Oh, Pocky. Old Pocky's gonna tie the knot, man.
Yep. So good on him, and I hope he gets a good NASCAR style
I got too
bachelor
damn
party.
many jelly beans when I'm talking.
I do too. Y'all know where to follow us.
Oh yeah.
Go PETMpodcast.com, at PETM Podcast on the Twitter box. Search us on iTunes, and hey, we just got approved on Google Music or whatever it's called.
Google Play?
Google Play.
We got approved on Google Play?
Yep, we got approved. Oh, nice.
Oh man, the gag fart thing went off.
Yep. So Sherman's doing the gag fart thing. We got approved on Google Play, so y'all look us up everywhere. Oh God. That's the one. That's
gonna need an underwear change on that one.
We appreciate y'all. I'm Tailgate Mayor at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm pregame engineer at pregame ENG.
We've had a boatload of fun, y'all. Appreciate you hanging out. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Oh man. Thumbs up.